Chapter 1121. Leaving the city, Celestials intercept and kill his reached the 11th level of the human immortal realm. They are practically within reach of reaching the Earth immortal stage. If he Pingxing wanted, he could swallow the body fruit right now and break through the bottleneck to reach the 12th level of the human immortal stage. Once you reach the 12th level, you can refine the Xianxia pill and consume it to enter the Earth immortal stage. If we start now, we can reach the Earth immortal stage within 1 or 2 years if things go smoothly. However, he Pingxing does not intend to use the body fruit now. If you can break through on your own, it's best to do so. Next step, alchemy. He Pingxing waved his hand and put away the relic in front of him. Previously, even with the Chaos Golden Scripture, each breakthrough would take decades. Now, thanks to the Buddhist relic providing him with vital energy, he Pingxing's cultivation of the Chaos Golden Scripture has become much faster. The 10th time only took a little over a decade. The 11th floor only took 28 years to build. Moreover, after so many breakthroughs, less than 10% of the Buddhist relics have been lost. More than 90% remain. Take out the alchemy furnace, the morning light cauldron. This is a second-grade immortal artifact that has been enhanced. Over the past 20 years, he Pingxing has been constantly reading and studying the 3-turn golden elixir method. Theoretically speaking, he should be able to refine a second-grade golden elixir. But we still need to try. Of course, he couldn't just start refining the Xianxia pill right away. Let's start with something simple. He Pingxing first refined several batches of pills, such as the Immortal Spirit Pill and the Heavenly Spirit Pill, from the first stage golden elixir. He found that there was no problem in refining this type of elixir. Moreover, each batch produced at least 2 top-grade pieces. After about 2 months of preparation, he Pingxing began refining the second stage golden elixir. However, it was not the Xianxia pill. The second stage golden pill that he Pingxing refined was still a relatively common second stage golden pill, such as the Immortal Essence pill. First attempt, a failure. And it even exploded. The second batch failed. The third attempt failed. Although the later attempts failed, at least the oven didn't explode. That's fine. As long as there are any discarded pills, they can all be upgraded to top-grade items thanks to the powerful and heaven-defying function of the treasure basin. After 3 batches, refining the Immortal Essence pill will almost never fail again. Every batch can produce pills, but the quality is not very good. Mix the medium and low grades. At this point, he Pingxing realized that he possessed the skill to refine a second-stage golden elixir. Let's go then. At this moment, he Pingxing finally took out the materials for Xianxia pill and began to refine it. There are 2 sets of materials. Normally, he would first strengthen the materials into 4 portions before refining the pills. But not now. This is Star Emperor City after all, and he Pingxing would never dare to take out the treasure-gathering immortal basin to enhance items. There's no other way but to refine it first. Anyway, 1 Xianxia pill is enough. You don't need too many. More is useless. So he Pingxing began refining Xianxia pill. The first batch exploded. He Pingxing was stunned. This just exploded? He didn't rush to refine the second batch. Instead, he slowly calmed himself down, summarized the gains and losses of the first batch, and then began refining the second batch. Second attempt. Failure. Fortunately, he managed to refine 12 unusable pills. That's enough. Next, he Pingxing took a step out of Xianxia. When he left Xianxia, he changed his appearance once again. Under the cover of the bronze mask and the beautiful face, he Pingxing felt that with his constant changes of location and appearance, and more than 20 years having passed, those who were secretly watching him should have long since lost track of him. Now, it should be safe, right? After all, 28 years have passed since the grand tournament. He Pingxing released his divine sense and searched his surroundings carefully for a long time, but found no suspicious signs. So, without saying a word, he walked out of Star Emperor City. After leaving Star Emperor City, he Pingxing did not leave immediately, but hid behind a mountain peak 1,000 miles away from the city gate to keep watch. Check if any suspicious individuals are following us. If anyone tries to intercept and kill him, he Pingxing can instantly fly back to Star Emperor City. Once you arrive in Star Emperor City, no one will dare to start a fight. As a result, He Pingsheng secretly kept watch outside the city gate for several days but did not find any suspicious people. After that, he turned into a stream of light and headed away from Star Emperor City. There is only one purpose for leaving the city this time: to strengthen. First, strengthen the refining immortal technique, then strengthen that useless Shinjin pill into a top-grade one. After completing these two tasks, He Pingsheng planned to find a secluded place to continue his seclusion, at least to cultivate his divine sense. Then, find a way to break through the bottleneck and raise your cultivation to the Earth Immortal realm as soon as possible. After flying tirelessly for 3 days, He Pingsheng arrived at a desolate mountain far enough away from Star Emperor City. This area is mountainous and sparsely populated. At such a distance, even a golden immortal from Star Emperor City could not extend their divine sense over this distance. He Pingsheng was completely relieved. He landed on a mountain peak with a whoosh, then sat cross-legged and threw the 12 ruined Shinjin pills and the crimson refining spirit jade slip into the treasure basin. Then, he drew the treasure basin into his dantian. Just wait. These things can be enhanced in a few days. However, He Pingsheng had only finished doing these things for a few breaths when 3 streaks of light flew in from the horizon and landed around him in an instant. He Pingsheng's eyes narrowed slightly. He's still being watched? Just by looking at the clothes these 3 people were wearing, He Pingsheng had already determined their origins. One is an immortal from Kunwu Mountain, and the other 2 are immortals from the Baiyun Immortal sect. Moreover, He Pingsheng couldn't see through the cultivation levels of these 3 people, which meant they were all at the heavenly immortal level. As for how many levels of celestial immortals there are, and who is stronger or weaker, that remains unknown. Hehehe. A woman from the White Cloud Immortal sect chuckled and said, "So impatient. He Pingsheng, I thought you would wait hundreds of years before you came out of Star Emperor City. It's only been over 20 years, and you can't hold back anymore. I just noticed that your basin seems unusual. What is that?" With a wave of her hand, the woman unfurled a crimson sword, which shrank to 3 feet in size and began to hover around her. He Pingsheng smiled and said, "This basin is extraordinary. It is the Devouring Heaven Basin, which was created at the beginning of the creation of the world. It can devour the heavens and the earth. As long as I chant the incantation, I can take the 3 of you into it and turn you into pus and blood in an instant. Are you scared? If you're scared, kneel down and beg me to spare you. Or offer up your 3 heavenly Tao slave seals and become my servants, and I might consider sparing your lives." As He Pingsheng spoke, he extended his divine sense, constantly monitoring the movements of the 3 people around him. To be honest, He Pingsheng wasn't particularly afraid, because he knew he wouldn't die. So what if 3 celestial beings attacked together? It's nothing more than paying a price. Chapter 1122. Below the Golden Immortal, I am invincible. For example, He Pingsheng could simply waste 1,000 years of lifespan by using the Heavenly Extreme Lifespan Transformation technique to forcibly raise his cultivation level by 1 major stage, which would be the 11th level of the Earth Immortal stage. With his current ability to fight beyond his level, even if he can't kill 3 celestial immortals, he should be able to escape from them without any problem. Although there are only 2 hours. But He Pingsheng also possessed a Heavenly Feather Immortal Talisman. If activated, it grants 3 days of rapid escape time. Under these circumstances, He Pingsheng believed he could escape. Even if I can't escape, I should be able to get back to Star Emperor City in 3 days, right? This is the source of He Pingsheng's confidence. Dream on. The woman from the White Cloud Immortal sect reached out and grasped the 3-foot-long crimson sword, saying calmly, "What devouring heaven basin? If such a treasure truly existed, even your luck wouldn't be able to hold on to it. Fine, once I kill you, everything will become clear. Junior brother Hu, and this fellow Daoist from Kunwu Mountain, this kid has some skills, and is also a peerless genius who comes along only once in 10,000 years, so we'd better make our move at the same time, lest he take advantage of any openings. If he escapes, our 2 sects will never have peace again." Okay. The other 2 also took out their immortal artifacts. Cut. Cut. D. The three of them used their respective skills and attacked He Pingxing almost instantly. 2 sword lights. A burst of fist energy. There are 3 immortal techniques in total. Moreover, these 3 immortal techniques came from 3 different directions. He Pingxing took a deep breath, spreading his divine sense as far as possible. Then he mobilized all his magical power and blood energy, and a beam of light suddenly burst forth from beneath his feet. Boom! The next moment, He Pingxing, who had been suppressed by the 3 attacks, was sent flying like a cannonball. Rumble! The 3 attacks missed their mark in the void. He Pingxing just used the shadowless immortal technique to teleport, but he also knew that this kind of thing could be used once, but not again. The most important thing now is to quickly cast the Heavenly Extreme Longevity Transformation Technique, sacrificing 1,000 years of lifespan in exchange for a 2-hour advancement in cultivation level. However, before he could even unleash the Heavenly Extreme Longevity Technique, another streak of red light flashed by in the distance. Court death. A woman's sharp voice rang out. The woman was very fast. As she flew over, she suddenly threw out a crimson light from her hand. Then, the light flashed through the void and landed on He Pingxing's head. It was a lamp. Once the magic lamp was activated, it instantly formed a barrier that enveloped He Pingxing. Grandmaster. He Pingxing looked up in surprise. The one flying in from afar was none other than the Red Lotus ancestor. Grandmaster. He Pingxing asked in surprise, "What brings you here?" HMPH. Ancestor Red Lotus snorted coldly and said, "If I hadn't come today, would you have thought you could live?" "I knew it. Those scum from those 2 sects wouldn't let you go. That brat has no willpower at all. Since his hold-up in the city, why doesn't he wait a little longer?" Red Lotus stood in the void, dressed in red. The wind howled, blowing her red Taoist robe horizontally, making her look like a flag from afar. Her hair was also blown about by the wind, revealing her fair face. Her expression was calm yet resolute. "You've been following me all this time, sir?" He Pingxing gasped. He thought he had hidden himself very well, changing his appearance several times, but he didn't expect that he hadn't fooled a single person. "So, the clown was me. I haven't been able to track you down, but it doesn't matter. If I can't find you, I'll just follow these few bastards." After saying that, the Crimson Lotus ancestor looked at the other 3 celestial immortals, a dignified celestial immortal ambushing a mere human immortal disciple of our Crimson Lotus Immortal Valley. "Aren't you ashamed?" "Red Lotus, nothing you say will make a difference," said the woman in green from the White Cloud Immortal sect. "Although you are a late-stage celestial immortal, we are only early-stage celestial immortals. But there are 3 of us here. You will still die." "Is that so?" A disdainful smile appeared on Honglian's face, and then she slightly extended her finger. "Call out." A beam of light flew from her fingertips. Puff. The next moment, the woman who had just been speaking to Honglian was blasted into a shower of blood by this beam of light. Honglian suddenly turned to look at the other 2 and sneered, "At this moment, I'm invincible below the golden immortal level." The 2 men trembled with fear. "I understand. I know. She used a secret technique. She only has 1,000 years left to live. Moreover, you must not make a move for 1,000 years. Once you do, you won't survive more than 2 hours. 2 hours? Honglian sneered. Killing you all won't take 2 hours. 2 breaths are enough. Clang. A long sword flew out. Puff puff. The long sword spun in the void, instantly killing 2 celestial beings. The 3 celestial beings from Baiyun Immortal Sect and Kunwu Mountain instantly turned into a rain of blood. Honglian reached out and took all 3 of their rings. Seeing this, He Pingxing was dumbfounded and quickly clasped his hands in thanks. Honglian pointed to the mountaintop below and said, "Let's talk over there." The 2 fell off the mountaintop. A flush of color rose on Honglian's fair face. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. You know my situation. I previously used the immortal technique of immortality that made me live as long as heaven and earth, and I only have 1,000 years of lifespan left. But if I make a move within 1,000 years, I will soon perish. Originally, I wanted to find an opportunity to annihilate the entire White Cloud Immortal sect or Kunwu Mountain with my crippled body. But I was worried that something might have happened to you, so after much consideration, I decided to come to Star Emperor City to find you first. I didn't see you, but I did see these few suspicious guys, so I followed them and kept watch, which led to our meeting today. But the outcome is always good. I have no regrets now that I've saved your life. He Pingxing said, my master saved my life, how can I ever repay him? His eyes were wet. Honglian said, no, it doesn't really matter whether I live 1,000 years longer or 1,000 years less. If I cannot break through to the profound immortal realm in the remaining time, then death is the only option. If dying today can bring you peace, it would be more than worth it for me. Good child. As she spoke, Honglian took out a Red Lotus platform from her ring and said, this is the inheritance of our Red Lotus Immortal Valley sect leader. Today I am giving it to you. If you can return to Red Lotus Immortal Valley, give this to Xianxia and let her become the sect leader of Red Lotus Immortal Valley. After a slight pause, Honglian continued, I'm late, so I didn't see your match with Ji Wuxin. But I heard about that competition, and you were very good. They all say that if you hadn't run into Ji Wuxin, who was in first place, in the first round, you would definitely have made it into the top 10. I am very pleased. Chapter 1123 Getting involved. He Pingxing reached out and helped her sit down, saying, Ancestor, actually, I let Ji Wuxin win the competition. They gave me a set of spirit refining techniques, and then I gave up on my own. If we really fight, he can't beat me. Oh. A glint appeared in Honglian's eyes. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. She burst into laughter. Cough cough cough. After laughing loudly for a few moments, the Red Lotus ancestor suddenly spat out several mouthfuls of blood. Moreover, what she vomited was not golden blood, but bright red blood. He Pingxing was immediately shocked and said, Master, what you are doing? Sigh. Honglian let out a deep breath and said, all the blood and energy in my body have been burned, otherwise how could I be invincible below the golden immortal level? Therefore, the blood we have now is the blood of mortals. But it doesn't matter. Come here, I don't have much time left. I have some important things to arrange for you. He Pingxing said, all right, please give your instructions, master. Honglian said, these rings and bracelets contain the wealth and heritage of my Honglian Immortal Valley. You must not open them. Once you return to the sect, you can hand them over to Xianxia. Yes. He Pingxing respectfully accepted Honglian's ring and bracelet. In the future, you must remember to avenge me, help me, destroy the White Cloud Immortal sect and Kunwu Mountain. Actually, our 3 sects were originally one family. Back then, my master got senile and divided the sect into 3 parts, giving them to us 3 senior and junior brothers and sisters. Can you do it? Honglian looked at He Pingxing. He Pingxing gritted his teeth and said, disciple obeys. Good, good, good. Honglian reached out and patted He Pingxing's shoulder a few times, saying, after you return to Honglian Immortal Valley, marry Xianxia immediately. Although that girl is not as good as you, she is still quite talented. Your marriage is settled. Tell her it was me who said it, and she certainly won't object. He Pingxing's face showed a slight bitterness. Don't speak. Honglian spat out another mouthful of blood, saying, I can't go on. I originally thought I could last for 2 hours, but now it seems impossible. I estimate that there's at most half an incense stick's time left. He Pingxing, after I die, you must take my body back. Send it to Xianxia, she knows how to handle it. Also, after you marry Xianxia, you must help her consolidate her position in the Red Lotus Immortal Valley. If anyone dares to oppose you, kill them without mercy. Besides, Honglian didn't dare to stop and handed over a lot of tasks in one go. He Pingxing listened to each of the stories one by one. After she finished speaking, He Pingxing said, I have kept everything my grandmaster said in mind. But I absolutely cannot agree to my marriage with senior sister Xianxia. Because I already have my own Daoist partner, although she... Grandmaster. Before He Pingxing could finish his sentence, he discovered that the Red Lotus ancestor had already perished. He Pingxing was momentarily at a loss for what to do. He stared at the fallen Red Lotus ancestor, then collected her body. He Pingxing felt no sadness. In fact, He Pingxing was not a heartless person. He just felt that the Red Lotus ancestor might not be truly protecting her. Everyone's actions have a specific purpose. Some people get involved and plan for the future. Who can really say for sure? If he is truly so noble and virtuous, why did he pass the position of sect leader to me instead of Lu Xiaozi? He Pingxing wasn't coveting anything. It's just that from a rational perspective, he felt that the Red Lotus ancestor's final gamble seemed a bit too much. She turned her already limited life into a shackle, binding He Pingxing's body. This caused He Pingxing to bear a lot of karma for no reason. This is an open strategy. He Pingxing smiled bitterly. Even if you hadn't come, I wouldn't have died. Your arrival has made me owe you an enormous debt of karma. I hope it's just my own petty thinking. He Pingxing shook his head and looked into the distance. A woman dressed in black suddenly appeared 1,000 feet directly in front of them. She stood in the void, staring motionlessly at He Pingxing. Then left, right, and back. There was an immortal in each of the 4 directions: front, back, left, and right. Moreover, their cultivation level is the same as that of the immortals from Kunwu Mountain and Baiyun Immortal Sect, which should be at least at the heavenly immortal level. As for whether there are any beings beyond the celestial immortal level, he didn't know. He Pingxing stood up, gently raised his hand, and removed the bronze mask from his face, revealing his true appearance. I knew it. If even lowly sects like Baiyun Immortal Sect and Kunwu Mountain could find my trail, how could the City Lord's mansion possibly have missed me? So, you were all here. That Wu Zhanyun is truly untrustworthy. You're wrong. The woman in black, who was the eldest senior sister of everyone, stepped forward and stood not far in front of He Pingxing, saying in the void, My master swore an oath to the heavenly Tao, so naturally he will not attack you. Actually, we don't want to offend a genius either. But the prerequisite is that you cooperate. He Pingxing chuckled. How do we cooperate? He felt a slight sense of relief. Since the other party admits to being Wu Zhanyun's disciple, their cultivation level is at most that of a celestial immortal. As long as there are no immortals, they pose no threat to his life. Swear an oath to the heavens that from this day forward, He Pingxing will never lay a hand on anyone in our sect. Today, all your troubles will be resolved. To be honest, we don't want to kill you, and we certainly don't want to become your enemy. We're just afraid of you. That's all. We're not here to ambush or coerce anyone, the woman in black said. It's just a very ordinary negotiation. I hope the talks will be pleasant. Of course, if you agree to our conditions, we are willing to pay a certain price. After all, I took your direct entry spot for free back then. Tell me, what are you still lacking right now? We'll do anything we can to get our hands on it. The senior sister in black looked at He Pingxing with a gentle expression. He Pingxing sneered, What if the negotiations fail? Who? The woman in black took a deep breath. If we can't reach an agreement, then let's see who's tougher. If you're tough enough, we'll wait for you to come and kill us. If we're tough, then you. Bang! Before the woman in black could finish speaking, a beam of light suddenly erupted from beneath He Pingxing's feet. His body retreated 100 feet in an instant. The moment he stepped back, a black sword aura suddenly shot out from the mountain peak beneath his feet, piercing straight into the sky. One can imagine that if he had reacted even a fraction slower, the sword would have pierced his body. Chapter 1124 Battle with the Celestial Immortal. The black sword light was half hidden underground and half pierced the sky. He Pingxing retreated rapidly. The spellcaster wasn't in a hurry when his first attack missed. He directed the sword light to move sideways and slash at He Pingxing again. The black sword light cleaved through the mountains and earth, leaving a deep ravine as it pursued He Pingxing. Fortunately, the speed of the sword light was not fast. Bang bang bang. As He Pingxing retreated rapidly, he unleashed several defensive second-grade immortal talismans, which transformed into several barriers that enveloped his body. At the same time, He Pingxing did not hesitate at all, and the heavenly extreme longevity technique in his body was running wildly. His aura and cultivation level instantly surged. 11th level of the human immortal stage. 12 floors. Earth Immortal. Earth Immortal Stage 1. 2 floors. 3 floors. In the time it takes to breathe, he reached the 11th level of the Earth Immortal stage. At this moment, He Pingxing felt a power he had never felt before. Not only did his cultivation reach the 11th level of the Earth Immortal stage, but his divine sense, power, and all his abilities also simultaneously reached the 11th level of the Earth Immortal stage. However, there is one problem. This state can only last for 2 hours. If you cannot defeat the opponent within 2 hours, you will be the one to suffer the consequences. Damn it! Exclaimed the leading black-clad senior sister. What kind of heaven-defying immortal technique is this, that it actually raised his cultivation to the peak of the Earth Immortal stage? At this moment, He Pingxing swept his divine sense over the area again, and the cultivation levels of all 4 opponents were revealed. The one with the highest cultivation level was the woman in the black Taoist robe, who was at the 6th level of the Celestial Immortal stage. The remaining 3 people, 1 from the 5th floor and 2 from the 3rd floor. He breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he didn't reach the Xianxia realm, everything would be fine. Boom! The next moment, the woman in black suddenly flew over, and with a flick of her fair right hand, a black soft whip swept through the air and lashed fiercely at He Pingxing. He Pingxing had no time to activate his immortal artifact and could only rely on the power of his internal blood and qi to withstand the attack. Snap! The crisp sound of a whip cracked. A vicious whip swept through the air and struck He Pingxing hard on the back. The immense force sent He Pingxing flying thousands of feet into the void. Rumble! At this moment, the power of blood and qi in He Pingxing's body finally began to circulate along the 36 immortal runes, and his body suddenly expanded, instantly transforming into a size of 500 feet. The body, as imposing as a small mountain, pressed down upon him. Instead of fleeing, He Pingxing unleashed a punch from the void, directly striking the woman in black. D. The woman's black whip struck again. This time, the 100-foot-long whip bound He Pingxing's right hand, hoping to block the force of He Pingxing's punch. Unfortunately, it fell a little short. He Pingxing's punch, as powerful as a storm, finally landed squarely on the woman's head. The fist was dozens of feet in size. Compared to that enormous fist, the woman's figure was like that of an ant. However, this ant was harder than anyone could have imagined. She was only blasted thousands of feet away by He Pingxing's punch, and was not injured. He Pingxing's fist, which was dozens of feet in size, slammed its remaining force into a small hill next to him. Xiaoxian instantly cracked and collapsed. Roar! The 500-foot-tall true form of the witch god roared at the void. The 3 magical artifacts struck his body almost simultaneously with a series of clanging sounds. 3 extremely horrifying, bloody mouths were opened. Fresh blood gushed out. He Pingxing writhed in pain, his thick right hand suddenly swinging out a purplish-red stick. The stick was initially only a few feet in size, but after he swung it around, it suddenly grew to 1,000 feet. With a single sweep, all 3 were sent flying. Bang, bang, bang. Rumble! After a few exchanges, dozens of surrounding mountain peaks were directly destroyed. The sky was dark and the sun had no light. The 3 terrifying gashes on He Pingxing's body slowly began to heal. Those wounds may look terrifying, but they are actually just superficial injuries. Again. He Pingxing's fighting spirit is high. It's been a long time since I've had such a satisfying and exhilarating game. He held the stick in both hands and slammed it down on the woman in black again. Damn it! The woman roared. Attack together. We must kill him today. If we can't kill him today, we'll all die sooner or later. A mountain peak hundreds of feet high was smashed to pieces from the top by a giant purple-gold club. The woman in black was also blasted into the ground. He Pingxing's life was not easy either. He had to attack the woman in black while also defending against the attacks of the other 3. Buzzing. 9 purple shields suddenly appeared in He Pingxing's sea of consciousness, blocking an extremely powerful attack of divine sense. He Pingxing was covered in cold sweat. Fortunately, my current cultivation level is at the peak of the Earth Immortal stage. If these people had launched a divine sense attack right from the start, I would have been crippled if not dead. Fortunately, the other party didn't seize the opportunity. Kill. Taking advantage of He Pingxing's momentary daze, the 3 of them unleashed their supernatural powers and attacked again. The situation on the scene was quickly stabilized. He Pingxing's cultivation level is still relatively low. Although he can fight beyond his level, he is still very passive when facing 4 opponents alone. We can't beat them. We simply can't beat them. Fortunately, he excelled in body refinement, and his body was incredibly strong. No matter how the opponent attacked, his physical body could always withstand it. They fought back and forth for an hour, and neither side could gain the upper hand. However, the vast mountain range beneath their feet was left in ruins. Seeing that his transformation time was almost up, He Pingxing suddenly stepped back and then opened the Heavenly Feather Immortal Talisman, with a bang. Goodbye, everyone. A pair of wings shimmering with 5-colored lights suddenly materialized in the void and merged into He Pingxing's body. With a slight flap of his wings, he vanished without a trace, leaving only a massive energy trail that stretched for tens of thousands of miles, landing in the sky like a thin cloud. The 4 people behind them were completely dumbfounded. What is this? Someone asked. The senior sister said, it's a 3rd-grade talisman, called the Heavenly Feather Immortal Talisman. Can we catch up? The eldest sister shook her head. It's difficult. Although it's difficult, we still have to chase after him. His physical condition and the duration of this talisman won't last too long. As long as we keep tracking it, we will definitely catch up. Follow me, follow these tracks. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The 4 people transformed into 4 streaks of light and chased after the energy imprint left by He Pingxing. Unfortunately, after chasing it for about half an incense stick's time, the energy imprint became fainter and fainter until it disappeared completely. This is the direction, the woman said. 6th brother, you're from the Flying Feather clan, you're very fast. Transform into your true form and give chase. The guy at the 3rd level of the celestial realm said, but I can't beat him. Don't worry, the eldest sister said. If I'm not mistaken, his secret technique for forcibly boosting cultivation should be coming to an end soon. And there will surely be a backlash, you must chase after them immediately. Chapter 1125 Sumeru Immortal City. Netherworld. He Pingxing's speed was almost at its limit. He flew through the void, skimming close to the ground of Yuhuang's star. Although the woman in black sent a celestial immortal from the Feather Clan to pursue him, even when the Feather Clan manifested in his true form, he was unable to catch up with He Pingxing. There's no way to lock it now. After flying for about an hour, the cultivation power He Pingxing had gained from the heavenly extreme longevity transformation technique suddenly disappeared. He returned to the 11th level of the human immortal stage. At the same time, his hair began to turn grey in patches, and wrinkles appeared on his face, making him look like an old man on his deathbed from a distance. That one strike cost him 1,000 years of his lifespan. That's equivalent to him getting 1,000 years older. It's not so much about aging due to age, but rather a manifestation of extreme physical weakness after the sudden loss of lifespan and fundamental support. Given time and a period of rest, it will naturally recover to its original state. Swoosh! He Pingxing transformed into light and swept across a flat forest. As he flew, he caused vortex fluctuations, forming hurricanes that blew into the dense forest below, causing countless trees to break and fall. Seeing this, He Pingxing quickly increased his flight altitude to avoid leaving any traces. It was at this moment that he was surprised to find that his cultivation level had unknowingly broken through to the 12th level. Holy shit! He Pingxing even swore. A breakthrough? Has the bottleneck been broken? No, it's broken like this. Why? He Pingxing was completely unaware of why his bottleneck had suddenly been broken. To say it was a life or death experience? That's not right. In that battle just now, He Pingxing certainly knew he wouldn't die, so there's no question of him experiencing life and death. Then, Could it be because I used the heavenly extreme longevity transformation technique, pushed my body to its limits, and subjected it to extreme strain, and then this bottleneck naturally broke through? Perhaps. That's really possible. But no matter which one it is, He Pingxing is happy. During his flight, he took out the Buddhist relic again, absorbing the vital energy within it while flying at high speed. At the same time, he took out a map of the entire Yuhuang star. He Pingxing saw that he was not far from a large city called Camellia Immortal City, so he immediately changed direction and flew towards Camellia Immortal City. Camellia City is one of the 4 major satellite cities of Star Emperor City. It's very close to Star Emperor City. Even though it's very close, given He Pingxing's current flying speed with the Heavenly Feather Immortal Talisman, it would still take him 2 days to get there. 2 days later, He Pingxing finally flew to this place called Camellia Fairy City. With a wave of his hand, he plucked the wings off his body. The wings disappeared and then transformed back into a talisman. That's amazing. He Pingxing originally thought that this thing would disappear completely after it was removed, but unexpectedly it turned back into a talisman. However, although it has been reformed into a celestial talisman, the energy within it is not much. If it is to be opened in the future, it will probably only last for half a day at most. Even half a day is fine. He Pingxing put away the magic talisman and stepped into the city. Now, his face is covered with wrinkles and his hair is all white. If you don't look closely, you can hardly tell that it is him. That's good too. It makes it easy to hide. He Pingxing walked all the way to the Immortal Ship Square in the Camellia Immortal City. He had no intention of lingering in this immortal city. He went straight to the ticket hall and asked, "Excuse me, where is the last immortal ship that took off heading? When will we take off?" The woman in charge of selling tickets, He Pingxing, whose hair was completely white, said, "We will depart for Gui Immortal City in 2 hours." "Okay, buy me a ticket." He Pingxing paid 10 mid-grade immortal crystals for a ticket and then boarded a huge immortal ship. 2 hours later, the immortal ship took off and headed towards Gui Immortal City. Gui Immortal City is right next to Camellia Immortal City. They are 2 adjacent immortal cities. He Pingxing continued to travel on the immortal ship, and 6 months passed in the blink of an eye. Within 6 months, he changed celestial ships 4 times before finally arriving at a place called Sumeru Immortal City, where he finally settled down. Call. After disembarking from the immortal ship, He Pingxing let out a deep breath. In any case, after being on the run for half a year and changing locations several times, it's unlikely that those people, no matter how capable, could have followed us here. Looking at the vast immortal city before him, He Pingxing's first task was to find the city gate and exit. He wanted to leave the immortal city and find a secluded place in the mountains to improve his cultivation. After all, the process of advancing from a human immortal to an earth immortal is quite grand. Breaking through in the city might cause a stir and be disastrous. He Pingxing strolled leisurely down the street, heading towards the city gate exit. Before they even reached the exit, they heard shouts, "Make way, make way, make way. The carriage of Fairy Yang Yun from the City Lord's mansion is coming. Get out of the way." He Pingxing looked back and saw that several Earth Immortal cultivators had already begun clearing the road. He hurriedly walked to the roadside. Then a huge vehicle rumbled along from the other end of the street. The carriage was enormous, measuring 10 zhong in width and length, and was pulled by 8 strange beasts that He Pingxing had never seen before. Although the carriage was large, it wasn't sealed off. It was merely surrounded by a curtain made of various flowers that provided some partial cover. However, as the carriage swayed and shook, the curtain would open and close slightly, allowing passers-by to catch a glimpse of the beautiful face of Fairy Yang Yun inside. There wasn't just one person sitting in the car, but 4 or 5 young women. He Pingxing didn't feel anything special at first glance, but when he saw one of the women, he suddenly took a deep breath. This woman, she seems so familiar. Where have I seen this before? He Pingxing's mind raced, and after about a breath, he finally remembered. The Netherworld. The Underworld Empress in the spirit realm. Although He Pingxing had never seen her in person, he had seen her portrait in Nan Chich's palace. Could it really be this woman? He Pingxing was unsure, and naturally dared not use his divine sense to scan others. Besides, He and the Netherworld Empress didn't know each other, so there was nothing to talk about. Since that was the case, He Pingxing was only slightly surprised before turning around and leaving. Even if she really is the Netherworld Empress, so what? For He Pingxing now, avoiding entanglement with karma is the best choice. It's better to avoid trouble. After the rumbling cart had passed, He Pingxing returned to the middle of the road and slowly continued walking towards the city gate. After leaving the city, they immediately flew into the void and flew for several days before finally finding a cave in a desolate, uninhabited mountain and hiding there. Chapter 1126 Advancement to Earth Immortal. Although there was no sign of human presence within 1,000,000 miles, He Pingxing did not dare to let his guard down. He still took out the array materials and began to set up a second-grade immortal array. No need for a defensive formation. A divine suppressing array. An illusion array. The illusion array is on the outermost layer. In this way, even if someone flies over this place from high above, even if they sweep down with their divine sense, they will be confused by the illusion array and will not be able to see any clues. Unless the visitor has extremely high cultivation, reaching the level of a Xianxia or Xianxia. But how many immortals of this caliber could possibly come to this desolate wilderness? It took He Pingxing 3 whole months to complete the setup of the 2 formations. At this moment, he desperately wanted that kind of array-gathering immortal talisman. If we could store an entire formation into a single talisman, unfolding it with a wave of the hand when needed and instantly retracting it when not in use, that would be incredibly convenient. No, if I have time later, I must study how to draw this array-forming talisman. After He Pingxing finished setting up the formation, he threw out a futon and sat down cross-legged. At the same time, he took out a mid-grade immortal crystal with fire attribute and placed it in front of him. As soon as the fairy crystal appeared, the surrounding dampness was instantly dispelled, and the originally damp cave became habitable. And so He Pingxing took out the treasure bowl again. Inside the treasure basin, besides many mid-grade immortal crystals and low-grade immortal crystals that have not yet been enhanced, there are also 24 golden immortal pills, top-grade Shenjin pills. In addition, there were 2 more blood-red jade slips. He Pingxing remembered that he had obtained a crimson refining spirit method from the hidden sword Taoist, and then put it into the treasure basin to strengthen it. Now, almost a year has passed, and the strengthening is long over. He picked up one of the books at random and his divine senses surged into it. Name, Heavenly Prison Soul Forging Technique. Rank, Heavenly Rank. Function, a supreme method for refining the spirit, including chapters on human immortal, earth immortal, celestial immortal, mysterious immortal, golden immortal, and Tai. Congratulations on your life. There are 6 chapters in total, ranging from the chapter on human immortals to the chapter on Tai. Ha, that's great. Overjoyed, he reached out and took out the second red jade slip to look at it. The contents of the second jade slip were exactly the same as the first one. It is also the Heavenly Prison Soul Forging Technique. Put away the Heavenly Prison Soul Forging Technique. Now is not the time to cultivate one's spiritual soul. What needs to be done now is to devour this Shenjin pill and then attempt to break through to the Earth Immortal stage. I don't even know if it will work out. He Pingxing exhaled a deep breath and then began to meditate. The purpose of meditation is singular, to calm one's mind and adjust one's overall physical state to its optimal level. 3 days later, He Pingxing opened his eyes, took out a golden second-stage golden pill, and swallowed it in one gulp. Once the Shenjin Dan entered his stomach, an extremely powerful surge of blood and qi flowed into He Pingxing's entire body. Then, under the stimulation of countless energies, the 36 immortal runes on the surface of his body reappeared, absorbing and refining this infinite energy, and then sending it back into his flesh and blood, breaking through an invisible shackle. Once, twice, 3 times. At one point, He Pingxing felt his mind clear and the shackles in his heart suddenly broke. Boom! Following this, a surge of immense energy erupted from his body, slamming violently into the surrounding array. After a surge of energy within the formation, the energy returned to the cave, intersecting and resonating with the Daoist techniques constantly emanating from He Pingxing's body, producing a thunderous sound. He Pingxing also suddenly opened his eyes. We've made a breakthrough. Earth Immortal Stage 1, accomplished. Of course, This is because his cultivation of the Chaos Golden Scripture allowed his body to break through to the first level of the Earth Immortal stage. His 5 dantian are still at the 5th level of the human immortal stage, without any movement. However, although it is not a breakthrough of the dantian, once the realm is broken, the speed of cultivating the dantian again will be much faster. With just a fraction of your usual effort, you can achieve 10 times the result. Continue your seclusion. He Pingxing spent several more days stabilizing his cultivation. Instead of rushing out of seclusion, he took out the Heavenly Prison Soul Forging technique and began to read it. Let's start cultivating from the Human Immortal chapter. He Pingxing once cultivated the last chapter of the Xianmen Tranquility True technique, which was a spirit refining technique of the same level as the first chapter of the Heavenly Prison Soul Forging technique, the Human Immortal chapter. The Heavenly Prison Soul Forging technique is just a bit more advanced. But in any case, having practiced once before, starting over now will naturally be twice as effective. And so it went, year after year. 13 years later, He Pingxing completed the cultivation of the Immortal chapter of the Heavenly Prison Soul Forging technique. Not only did he complete the cultivation of the Human Immortal chapter, but he also managed to complete the first level of the Earth Immortal chapter. Thus, He Pingxing's divine sense more than doubled. Because his cultivation has now reached the Earth Immortal stage, it was much easier for him to go back and devour the Immortal Spirit Pill, to cultivate his dantian. In the past 13 years, his cultivation level of the 5 elements dantian has also been raised from the 5th level to the 7th level. Reopen the treasure trove. Over the years, the immortal crystals in the treasure basin have been strengthened considerably. In addition to the immortal crystals, the bronze mask was also enhanced. It's called Beauty's Face, but this thing is actually a top-grade 3rd-rank immortal artifact, with 44 layers of restrictions. However, the improvement in effect was not very obvious. Besides the beautiful face, there was also the Heavenly Feather Immortal Talisman. Previously, this Heavenly Feather Immortal Talisman was of superior quality, and He Pingxing had already used more than 2 days of its 3-day acceleration effect, leaving more than half a day of effect remaining. But after being enhanced, it returned to its original state. 2 pieces, both in top condition. Once expanded, you can get a 5-day acceleration effect, and the speed will be faster. The key is that if it doesn't last 5 days, it can be stored away at any time and waited for the next use. It can be opened an unlimited number of times until the energy inside is exhausted. He Pingxing also tried to enhance the 4th-grade Buddhist relic. Unfortunately, it cannot be enhanced. That's a bit too high a level. What's next? The top priority, of course, is still cultivation and breakthrough. However, in addition to these, one must also improve the ability to draw talismans. When He Pingxing was in seclusion, he had already comprehended the Immortal Talisman Golden Book. It can be said that he now possesses the ability to draw 3rd-grade immortal talismans. It's just that I didn't have enough divine power to draw it before. Now that his cultivation has broken through to the Earth Immortal stage, and he has also refined 1 level of the Heavenly Prison Soul Forging technique, it should be about time for him to draw a 3rd-grade immortal talisman. With a 3rd-grade talisman, one can instantly kill a cultivator at the Heavenly Immortal stage, thus giving one the means to return to the Red Lotus Immortal Valley. After all, neither of Red Lotus Immortal Valley's opponents, White Cloud Immortal Sect nor Kunwu Mountain, possessed Xianxia, mysterious immortals. Without Xianxia, celestial beings would be easy prey for He Pingxing. Chapter 1127 Chaotic Heaven Sword Talisman. Fellow villager, the Immortal Talisman Golden Book records only 28 methods for drawing talismans. It includes 1st rank, 2nd rank, and 3rd rank officials. The 1st grade is the most common, and the 3rd grade is the least common. There are only 2 rank 3 talismans. One is an offensive talisman called a Chaos Sword Talisman, and the other is a defensive talisman called a Heavenly Thunder Shield Talisman. If you want to draw, you have no choice but to select these 2. He Pingxing first took the formula of the Chaos Sword Talisman and looked at it. Drawing it isn't difficult. It's just a bit complicated. The difficulty lies in the materials. To draw a 3rd-grade Immortal Talisman, you need 3rd-grade materials. Grade 3 Immortal Talisman paper, Grade 3 Immortal Talisman ink. Moreover, This Chaos Sword Talisman has attribute requirements. It must be made of Metal Attribute Immortal Talisman paper and Metal Attribute Immortal Talisman ink. Crucially, when drawing it, one must also incorporate one's own sword intent into it. Only in this way can the Chaos Sword Talisman be drawn. He Pingxing didn't need to worry about the sword intent he already possessed, but he didn't have any third-grade Immortal Talisman paper or Immortal Talisman ink. We still need to go into town to do some shopping. He Pingxing then dispelled the formation, cleaned up all traces in the cave, and flew directly into the void, heading towards the Sumeru Immortal City. It took 3 days to fly there, but less than half a day to fly back. This is because as his cultivation level improved, his flight speed also increased significantly. The city was bustling with activity, but nothing particularly special. Every city is pretty much the same. Even the city layout here is not much different from that of cities in the cultivation world and the spirit world. Take me to the largest merchant guild in Zushumi Immortal City. He Pingxing found a demon beast at the city gate and climbed onto its back. The monster darted away instantly. Even so, it still took He Pingxing a full hour to get from the city gate to the entrance of the Chamber of Commerce. After jumping off the monster's back, He Pingxing casually gave him a few immortal crystals and then walked into the merchant guild. Xianxia. Hello, Xianxia. This way, please, Xianxia. A beautiful female cultivator dressed in red enthusiastically led He Pingxing into the Chamber of Commerce. A dazzling array of items instantly filled my eyes. He Pingxing looked around and asked, "How do you know my cultivation level?" The female cultivator said, "Xianxia, there is a special formation at the entrance of our Chamber of Commerce. All immortals who come here will reveal their cultivation level." Of course, we meant no harm. We were just afraid of offending you, Xianxia, that's why we did this. He Pingxing nodded. "Now that you know my cultivation level, then call your elders out. You don't have what I need on this first floor." "Yes, Xianxia, please wait a moment." The woman hurriedly went out, and after a while, she came back with another female cultivator. Upon seeing the female cultivator, He Pingxing's expression suddenly changed. "Yuming? It's her again." "No, she is an elder of this Chamber of Commerce." "Boy." Yuming, dressed in a jade-green Taoist robe, walked up to He Pingxing and asked, "What? Do you know me?" He Pingxing didn't dare to glance at Yuming's cultivation level, so he quickly cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, Xianxia. May I ask your Taoist name, Xianxia?" Yuming said, "My Daoist teachings are clearly stated." He Pingxing breathed a sigh of relief. He thought it was the Netherworld Empress, but now it seems she's probably just someone who looks similar. "You seem quite interested in me." Ming Yang stared at He Pingxing, a glint of intelligence in her beautiful eyes. "Kid, you'd better be honest and tell me why. Don't force me to interrogate you." The surrounding air suddenly turned cold. Just like Ming Yan's words. He Pingxing had nothing to hide, and smiled, saying, "Reporting to Xianxia, I was quite surprised when I saw you just now, because I once saw someone who looked exactly like you." Yuming asked, "Where are you?" He Pingxing said, "I am in the lower realm." "Oh." Yuming's expression suddenly turned serious. "To be honest, I also ascended from the lower realm." "In which lower realm did you see me? And when?" "Tell me, explain yourself." He Pingxing said, "It was probably several thousand years ago. Actually, I didn't see you in person, I only saw a portrait. Moreover, that person's Daoist title is different from yours. She is revered by people in the lower realms as the Netherworld Empress." Heh. Ming Yan's body trembled violently, then he asked, "What's your name?" He Pingxing said, "Junior He Pingxing." "He Pingxing, is it? Come with me, let's talk in detail." Ming Yang turned and walked into a private room on the first floor without waiting for He Pingxing's reply. He Pingxing followed closely behind. "Xianxia. Don't be shy, please have a seat." "Yes." The two sat down according to their status as host and guest, and someone served them celestial tea. "That's right." Ming Yang suddenly said, "In the world before my ascension, I was indeed called Yuming." I left behind a secret realm in the spirit world. He Pingxing said, yes, then it must be you, Xianxia. How wonderful! In over 6,000 years, this is the first time I've encountered cultivators from the same place. We can be considered fellow countrymen. He Pingxing, you are now at the first level of the Earth Immortal stage. How long have you been alive since your ascension? He Pingxing didn't dare to tell the truth, so he could only vaguely say, Xianxia, you have reached the celestial immortal realm after ascending for 6,000 years. I admire you very much. I have been here for more than 3,000 years and I am still only at the first level of Earth Immortal. I will never be able to enter the celestial immortal realm in 6,000 years like you have. Hehehe. Yuming chuckled, looking delighted. I'm lucky. I met a good master right after my ascension, and I only recently broke through to the celestial immortal realm. My master is the city lord of Shumi Immortal City. To be able to break through to the Earth Immortal realm in 3,000 years, you can be considered a dragon among men. Would you consider becoming my disciple? He Pingxing quickly stood up and cupped his hands. I wouldn't dare. Xianxia, I already have a master. I cannot betray my sect. Netherworld nodded. It's good that you have a master. In the future, if you encounter any difficulties while in Shumi Immortal City, feel free to come find me. I currently manage this Chamber of Commerce. By the way, what did you come here to purchase? This palace will personally give you a discount. He Pingxing felt a wave of gratitude in his heart, but he didn't dare mention the Hongmeng purple gold staff. Although the item had been left behind by Netherworld. For one, you can know a person's face but not their heart. The other party appeared kind and amiable now, but who could truly see into someone's heart? Second, if he took out the Hongmeng purple gold staff, Netherworld would definitely wonder how He Pingxing had managed to bring the staff to the immortal realm, which would only create more trouble. He Pingxing pondered for a moment and said, this junior needs 3rd grade metal attribute immortal talisman paper and metal attribute immortal talisman ink. Chapter 1128 The test of the underworld debt repayment +7 Of course, if there are any grade 3 immortal talisman paper and immortal talisman ink with wood attribute here, I'd like some too. Okay, that's all for now. He Pingxing originally wanted to buy some materials for refining 2nd stage golden pills, especially items to replenish chi and blood and assist in body refining. But now that we've encountered the Netherworld, we should be careful. Let's buy some talisman paper first. As for the other items, I can buy them from another merchant guild later. Alright, wait a moment. Yuming stood up and said, I'll go out and do a quick check, I'll be right back. Yuming dusted himself off and left. He Pingxing wasn't in a hurry and leisurely drank tea in the private room. After about half an incense stick's time, Yuming returned, carrying a Qianquan bag in her hand. Here. Yuming tossed the Qianquan bag onto the table in front of He Pingxing, then placed his round little bottom on the chair next to He Pingxing and said with a smile, there are a total of 3 metal attribute immortal talisman papers and 4 wood attribute immortal talisman papers in the Chamber of Commerce. As for talisman ink, there is plenty. But talisman ink is worthless, we can give it away for free. All right. He Pingxing picked up the talisman papers, looked at them, and said, no problem, how many immortal crystals do we need for these? Yuming said, I'll give you a discount. After the discount, the price of 1 immortal talisman is 6 million. These 7 pieces total, amounting to 42 million immortal crystals. 42 million. If it's a mid-grade immortal crystal, it will cost 4,200 yuan. He Pingxing certainly had that much immortal crystal, but he didn't immediately take out the immortal crystal to pay. Because such wealth is completely disproportionate to the possessions of an immortal with the cultivation level of Earth Immortal, it would be easier to arouse suspicion if it were to be taken out rashly. He Pingxing hesitated slightly before saying, this junior does not have that many immortal crystals on him, but he once obtained an item by chance. I don't know its value. Please take a look, Xianxia. As he spoke, He Pingxing pulled out a bronze mask, a beautiful face. This thing was just enhanced by He Pingxing, turning one into two, and both of them are top-grade third-rank immortal artifacts with 44 layers of restrictions. Oh! Yuming picked up the mask and glanced at it, then exclaimed in shock, "It's actually a third-grade immortal artifact." Hiss! It's top quality. A rare treasure. TSK. It actually has the ability to conceal its appearance and aura. That's incredible. Such a good thing, little brother. Why are you willing to trade it away instead of keeping it for yourself? He Pingxing smiled wryly. I really can't scrape together more than 4,000 mid-grade immortal crystals. This is the only valuable thing I have, so I have no choice but to use this. Do you think this is worth enough? Of course. Yuming said, a third-grade immortal artifact, regardless of its level, starts at 50 million immortal crystals. Yours is a top-grade one, and a rare mask with incredible functions. It should be worth more. Wait a moment, I'll go ask. After saying that, Yuming took the mask and walked out of the private room again. This time it will take a long time. After a full incense stick's time, she returned and said, "We found out. Several elders from our Chamber of Commerce unanimously agree that this mask will be worth 26,000 mid-grade immortal crystals for you. What do you think?" He Pingxing smiled and said, "That's enough." All right. Yuming pushed the Xianxia bag in front of He Pingxing. There are 7 immortal talisman papers in total, plus 2 bottles of talisman ink as a bonus. I've put them all inside for you. After deducting 4,200, there are still 21,800 mid-grade items left. Is there anything else you want to buy? Or do you want immortal crystals? He Pingxing thought for a moment and said, "If it's possible, may I go into the booth of your next level shop to take a look?" Yuming smiled and said, "Of course you can. He Pingxing and I are from the same hometown. If others won't let you go, why shouldn't you? Come on, I'll take you. Follow me." He Pingxing put the Xianxia bag into his ring and followed Yuming out of the private room, directly to the 3rd floor. The items sold on the 3rd floor are all of grade 3 quality. Rare. However, each one is priceless. Yuming led He Pingxing directly to several booths and said, "These are all refining materials, grade 3. If you like refining, junior brother, you can choose a few." Her beautiful eyes swept across He Pingxing's face. Although He Pingxing was wary, his face remained calm. He shook his head and said, "This junior knows nothing about weapon crafting. These crafting materials are useless to me. To be honest, I would be very interested in alchemy materials, or things like blood and chi relics." He Pingxing didn't know why Yuming had led him to the place of refining materials in the first place. It might have been unintentional or a coincidence. However, it is more likely a test. It should be noted that when Yuming was in the spirit realm, he possessed a primordial purple gold cudgel. This thing can absorb other materials and infinitely enhance itself. Unfortunately, when ascending to immortality, no cultivator can bring any items into the immortal realm. So it's conceivable that Yuming didn't want to bring that staff. He simply couldn't bring it. They've led me to this materials area now, probably to test me. Even with only a 1 in 10,000 chance, He Pingxing remained unmoved. All right. Seeing that He Pingxing showed no interest, Yuming smiled and led him forward, saying, "We don't have any Buddhist relics here, but we do have some rare and precious materials that can be used to refine the body, such as the body golden dew from the 3rd-grade spiritual liquid. We have 2 drops of it here. The body golden dew is rich in primordial power, making it a supreme treasure for body refinement. Here it is." Yuming took out a small bottle, 2 drops, that'll be 10,000 mid-grade immortal crystals for you. How about it? Without a second thought, He Pingxing put it away and said, "Okay." The Netherworld asked, "What else do you want?" He Pingxing thought for a moment and said, "I once saw a very special talisman that could contain arrays. I wonder if your esteemed merchant guild has the method to draw such talismans? I would like to learn a thing or two." "Yes." Yuming said, "That's called a storage array immortal talisman. The method of drawing it is very simple. This is a universal immortal talisman. The higher the grade of the materials used, the higher the grade of the storage array immortal talisman drawn. But there's a problem. He Pingxing asked, "What's the problem?" Yuming said, "The array talisman is essentially a spatial talisman, containing the great Tao of space. Only golden immortals and those above the golden immortal stage who have comprehended the great Tao can draw this. Even if you have the method to draw it, you still cannot. But since you want it, I can sell it to you. 4,000 mid-grade immortal crystals." He Pingxing nodded, "Okay, I'll take it. I don't care when I can use it, I'll just keep it in my hand for now." Chapter 1129 The Sounding Pearl Debt Repayment +8 Come with me. Yuming led He Pingxing to the book section on the 3rd floor. There are more than a dozen booths arranged in 2 rows on the left and right. Each booth was covered by a light array, and inside the light array, which was about a foot in size, were various jade slips. Yuming opened one of the array's light membranes and took out a black jade slip, saying, "This contains the method for drawing the Array Containment Immortal Talisman. Take it. Do you need anything else?" He Pingxing shook his head, "Thank you, but it's not necessary. Senior, just give me the rest of the immortal crystals." Yuming said, "No problem." He Pingxing took out a beauty mask, and in addition to the items in the transaction, the Merchant Guild gave him more than 7,000 immortal crystals. Medium grade. After politely declining Yuming's repeated attempts to persuade him to stay, He Pingxing left the business association. He didn't go to any other chambers of commerce, but went straight to the ferry ship plaza. "Excuse me, how long does it take for the immortal ship bound for Star Emperor City to depart?" He Pingxing asked as he entered the ticket hall. A woman behind the counter said, "There are 2 types of ships to Star Emperor City. One is a starship, which can take a day to reach the city. The other is an ordinary immortal ship, which requires you to stay on the immortal ship for 3 months. Which one would you like to choose?" He Pingxing asked, "What about the price?" The woman said, "Starships are very expensive, costing 5,000 mid-grade immortal crystals per ticket, while an immortal ship only costs 10 mid-grade crystals." He Pingxing thought for a moment, then took out 10 mid-grade immortal crystals to buy an ordinary immortal ship ticket. It wasn't that he was unwilling to spend money. Immortal crystals weren't a problem for him. The problem was that he was worried that having such a huge amount of assets, as a mere Earth immortal at the first level, would attract unnecessary trouble. "Anyway, I need to spend time drawing talismans and strengthening the talisman paper. It's also possible to do it on the immortal ship." 1 day later, the celestial ship he was on set sail. On this immortal ship, He Pingxing has a private room, and the highest level cultivator on the ship is only at the peak of the Earth immortal stage, which poses almost no threat to He Pingxing. He threw the 3 metal attribute talismans directly into the treasure basin. 9 days later, the talisman paper was strengthened. 3 talisman papers turned into 6. Not only the talisman paper, but also the talisman ink was enhanced. He Pingxing has begun drawing talismans. Chaotic Heaven Sword Talisman. The drawing of this talisman is different from that of ordinary talismans. This one requires the infusion of sword intent. Bring it on. Anyway, I've learned how to draw talismans in the past few days. He Pingxing took out a talisman brush, dipped it in talisman ink, and began to draw. He painted slowly, yet his strokes flowed smoothly and continuously. About 3 hours later, He Pingxing's talisman was completed. When the last stroke was added to the first, golden light shone in the void, and then a golden, metallic-looking talisman was successfully formed and floated in the void. It's done. However, the quality is only inferior. After successfully drawing a low-grade talisman, it began to frantically absorb the metallic immortal essence between heaven and earth. The immortal essence on the immortal ship must be very thin, and if it is constantly absorbed, it will easily attract the attention of others. With a wave of his hand, He Pingxing took out hundreds of mid-grade metal attribute immortal crystals and placed them around the immortal talisman, completely enveloping it. Then the talisman began to absorb the energy from the metallic celestial crystal. This way, we won't need to bother anyone. He Pingxing continued drawing talismans. 1, 2, 3. After 3 attempts, it wouldn't work anymore because the spiritual energy was being consumed too much. While meditating to recover his spiritual sense, He Pingxing threw the black jade slip into the treasure basin to strengthen it. This black jade slip contains the method for drawing the Array Formation Immortal Talisman. He Pingxing had already recorded the specific drawing method inside, so it didn't matter even if the treasure basin enhanced this thing beyond recognition. After regaining his divine sense, he continued drawing talismans. The consumption of divine sense for a third-grade immortal talisman is simply too great. He Pingxing finally understood why so few people are able to refine pills or create talismans beyond their level. Continue. 1, 2, 3. All 6 sheets of talisman paper were drawn into talismans. After absorbing the surrounding metal attribute immortal essence, the Chaos Sword Talisman is considered completely complete. 3 days later, He Pingxing opened the treasure basin, took out the enhanced jade slip, and threw the 6 Chaos Sword Talismans into it. He randomly picked up a jade slip and took a look at it. Name: General Drawing Method for Immortal Talismans for Array Formation Grade, Universal Top Quality. Function: after the talisman is activated, the formation can be stored inside it, and it can be opened and closed as needed. He Pingxing was overjoyed. Then he sat cross-legged on the futon and began to read. This can be considered a talisman. It not only contains the methods and material requirements for drawing talismans, but also specific templates for drawing immortal runes. He Pingxing glanced at the introduction and was immediately overjoyed. Because when drawing this advanced array talisman, the artist does not need to possess the ability of the spatial Great Dao technique. However, an item with spatial attributes needs to be added. This thing is called the empty sound bead. The void pearl is a type of pearl produced by a special plant in the celestial realm called the Pengyuan Immortal Millet. It is rumored that the void pearl contains a certain amount of spatial Dao power. My dear reader, there's more to, even more exciting content awaits. The Kongming pearl does not have a fixed level. Its grade depends on the years it has grown. 10 years is the first grade, 100 years is the second grade, 1,000 years is the third grade, 10,000 years is the fourth grade, and so on. Pengyuanxian millet and Kongming pearls are not rare items. What is rare are those from high age years. Coincidentally, the Naijian Immortal Talisman is also a universal talisman and does not have specific levels. Logically speaking, the type of talisman can be drawn based on the type of material used. That means that to draw a third-grade immortal talisman, you only need a third-grade void pearl and a third-grade immortal talisman paper. But we don't have any air beads on hand right now, so we'll just have to wait. He Pingxing tossed the jade slip containing the method for drawing the Array Immortal Talisman into his ring. Next, he threw 2 drops of Body Golden Dew into the treasure basin. Strengthen it gradually. Days passed by. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed, and the immortal ship finally docked at the Starship Plaza in Star Emperor City. He Pingxing, have returned. Upon arriving in Star Emperor City, the first thing to do was to visit the Merchant Guild. Looking to purchase Grade 3 Immortal Talisman paper, as well as Grade 3 and Grade 2 Empty Sound Pearls. After visiting 4 or 5 major merchant guilds, He Pingxing bought more than 40 sheets of Grade 3 Immortal Talisman paper with metallic properties, as well as 100 Grade 2 and 100 Grade 3 Void Sound beads. The hollow bead is not valuable. Although it contains the Great Dao of space, in reality, it is extremely rare. Even immortals at the Golden Immortal level wouldn't give such a void pearl a second glance when cultivating their Great Dao techniques. Therefore, second grade, third grade, and even fourth grade void pearls have almost no value. Fortunately, in He Pingxing's hands, this low-grade hollow bead regained its value. Chapter 1130 returned to Qianquan Immortal City in the following time. He Pingxing did not go looking for Chu Sheng. Instead, he left Star Emperor City again and went to the desolate mountains and wilderness that were several days away from the city. He randomly found a cave and began to take out the treasure basin to strengthen it. Let's upgrade these purchased items first. Talisman paper, hollow beads, talisman ink, etc. While strengthening the equipment, they also drew talismans. About 2 more years passed, and He Pingxing finished drawing all the talismans and strengthened them. He currently possesses over 190 Grade 3 Immortal Talismans, Chaos Sword Talisman, and over 20 defensive talismans, Heavenly Thunder Shield Talisman. At the same time, He Pingxing also drew 5 second-grade array talismans, each containing an array. These are the second-grade Divine Forbidden Array, Early Warning Array, Defense Array, and Illusion Array. 2 of them are Divine Suppressing Formations. He also possessed a third-grade Array Setting Talisman, but unfortunately, He Pingxing did not yet have the ability to set up a third-grade Grand Array. He only had 5 empty and unenhanced array-forming talismans in his hand. Of course, it's possible to find a formation master to help set up the formation. After the enhancement was completed, He Pingxing returned to Star Emperor City to find Chu Sheng. Senior brother you're back. Chu Sheng was very excited and happy to see He Pingxing again. He Pingxing glanced at his cultivation level and said, "Congratulations, you've reached the 7th level." Chu Sheng, at the 7th level of the human immortal stage, couldn't help but show a proud expression. Then, he swept his divine sense over He Pingxing and was immediately shocked, saying, "Senior brother, what is your cultivation level now? Why can't I tell your cultivation level? You haven't advanced to the Earth Immortal stage, have you?" Chu Sheng is exceptionally talented, and he also possesses a magical technique that allows him to see through the cultivation levels of cultivators at the same level. He could tell as long as someone was at the human immortal stage, regardless of their level. However, he could not discern He Pingxing's cultivation level, which could only mean that He Pingxing had already entered the Earth Immortal stage. He Pingxing nodded. He only recently broke through to the 1st level of the Earth Immortal stage. All right, enough about me. You haven't run into any trouble here, have you? No. Chu Sheng was shocked for a while before shaking his head and saying, "A few of Wu Zhanyan's disciples came looking for me before, asking if I had seen you, and then they left." He Pingxing smiled. He had fought against several of Wu Zhanyan's disciples before, and even after using the Heavenly Extreme Longevity Transformation technique, he was still unable to contend with them. Fortunately, He Pingxing managed to escape using the Heavenly Feather Immortal Talisman. It's not surprising that Wu Zhanyan's disciples returned to inquire about Chu Sheng after he fled. "I'm not afraid of them anymore," He Pingxing said. "Junior brother Chu, let's go back to Chenkuan Immortal City." Back in Chenkuan Immortal City, He Pingxing still has many enemies. Although Wu Zhanyan is a Xianxia, he once swore an oath to the Heavenly Tao that he would not take action. And Wu Zhanyan's disciples are all celestial beings. That solves the problem. If I run into a celestial being later, I'll just throw out a Chaos Sword Talisman and kill as many as come. What can you, Wu Zhanyan, do to me? As for Baiyun Immortal Sect and Kunwu Mountain, there's even less to worry about. Even if there are celestial immortals in the 2 sects now, it is estimated that not many of them are still alive. Rumble. The massive starship slowly rose from the ground. He Pingxing lay on the side of the ship, not going into the room, just staring into the void. He liked the feeling of flying into the void and the starry sky. This time we're on a starship. The starship charges based on the number of trips, regardless of distance, at 5,000 mid-grade immortal crystals per trip. He Pingxing and Chu Sheng spent a total of 10,000 mid-grade immortal crystals. "Aren't you going in to rest for a bit?" Chu Sheng also leaned against the ship's side with He Pingxing. He Pingxing shook his head. "I'm not going. By the way, I have something to ask you. You have some connections in Chenkuan Immortal City. Do you know any high-level formation masters?" Chu Sheng nodded. "I know him. My grandfather used to be on good terms with a deputy city lord named Long Yang. He was a formation master." He Pingxing asked, "Since you are the deputy city lord, setting up a 3rd or 4th grade formation shouldn't be a problem, right?" "I don't know." Chu Sheng shook his head. "But since he's a formation master, he should at least be able to set up a 3rd grade immortal formation. I don't know about the 4th grade. Once we arrive in the Immortal City tomorrow, I'll take you to visit that person." "Yes." He Pingxing nodded. He can only set up a 2nd grade immortal array now. As for upgrading the array to a 3rd grade immortal array, who knows when that will be. Improving one's skill in formations is much more difficult than improving one's skills in making talismans and alchemy. After a day and a night, the immortal ship returned to the atmosphere and landed in Chenkuan Immortal City. Soon, A familiar scent wafted over me. After Chu Sheng disembarked, he even closed his eyes and took a deep breath, saying, "This is what home feels like." Senior brother, he doesn't know, I've lived here since I was a child, and I was born here. However, Wu Zhanyun and the others are probably already waiting at our house. Shall we go to my house now? He Pingsheng nodded and said, "Go, don't be afraid." He is no longer afraid of Wu Zhanyun. With over 190 rank 3 offensive talismans on my body, why would I be afraid of him? Even if all of this guy's disciples came, I could still kill them all one by one. Back at Chu Sheng's residence, there were basically no major changes. The servants in the mansion were still the same. However, there were a few more. Chu Sheng learned after asking in detail that the extra servants were all arranged by Wu Zhanyun. When these people saw Chu Sheng return, they all fled. About half an incense stick's time later, someone came to the door. He Pingsheng had seen and recognized this person before. She was the black-clad woman who had chased after him. However, at this moment, the woman was wearing a blue Taoist robe. Senior Maple Flower. Chu Sheng bowed respectfully. He Pingsheng stood to the side, his expression indifferent, even with a faint sneer on his face. Feng Hua nodded to Chu Sheng, then turned her gaze to He Pingsheng. He Pingsheng, you really didn't die. They've reached the Earth Immortal stage. I must say, you're very strong. Can we talk? He Pingsheng waved his hand. I just got back from outside, I'm exhausted, I don't have time to talk to you, and I'm not interested in talking to you. If you want to kill me, keep trying, but forget about peace talks. He Pingsheng showed no respect to the woman and strode away, returning to his previous secluded cultivation ground. Now, he is truly no longer afraid of Wu Zhanyun. After all, Wu Zhanyun couldn't deal with him himself. You. Watching He Pingsheng's departing figure, Feng Hua felt a sense of powerlessness. Chu Sheng, please help me persuade him. We're open to discussing any terms. Feng Hua looked at Chu Sheng as if she had grasped at a straw. All right, all right. Chu Sheng smiled and said, I will definitely try to persuade Senior Brother He, but Senior Feng Hua, I can't guarantee anything about this. Thank you for listening to Panda Audiobooks. If you love what you hear and want to support my work, check out the PayPal link in the description. Every bit helps. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notifications bell to stay updated with all our latest audiobook chapters. We'll see you in the next one.